Bitcoin is going down. Well, you know that story already. But guess what? It doesn't mean that everything is going down. We here at Bybit Learn, we're going to show you that there are still many opportunities across asset classes that you could potentially, well, at least keep an eye on, be in the know, or if not, then potentially take advantage of. My name is Han Tan. I'm the Chief Market Analyst at Bybit Learn. Thank you so much for joining these live streams. I'm going to go straight to the charts, which we know that that's what you are here for. And I'm going to do that right now while I double check to make sure that we are indeed live on YouTube. Yes, we are. Again, this is the official Bybit Learn YouTube channel. And also we are live on X. That's Bybit_learn. I'm just going to double check to make sure that we are live there as well. Give me 1 second, folks, while you take a look at the Bybit Bitcoin screen that we have showing up live right now. And yes, we are live on X as well, along with YouTube. Okay, very cool. Let's get right to it. Okay, so now we know this story, right? Since early October, when Bitcoin hit that record high, it's been falling, and it almost seems like this unstoppable slide for Bitcoin and also for crypto prices in general. But of course, Bitcoin being the oldest crypto and the world's biggest crypto, it's taking a lot of the headlines. We had pointed out in these live streams how Bitcoin formed a death cross about a week or so ago, and that has been a signal for further declines. If you look at Friday, Bitcoin fell briefly below $81,000. Fell a bit more on Saturday. Tried to rebound on on Sunday, but then right now, again, just crumbling below that 86K psychological level. Okay, and we're going to show you some of the setups that we had actually highlighted even from last Friday. Now, again, I'm keeping these on the daily time frame because I know a lot more of you are actually watching this after the live stream is ended. You're watching this on YouTube, you're watching this on X, and no worries. That's why I use that daily time frame to kind of give it some breathing room, and hopefully you haven't missed out by the time you watch this. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit to show you some of the setups that we have. So again, right now, kind of just going, well, finding its footing, right, between that 80K to 89K range, or 80 to 90K to make it easier. But then if I zoom out, here's what we are looking at, because the question now is, could Bitcoin actually be headed for its April lows? Okay, that's something that we're all keeping in mind, because if you look at the derivatives space in the crypto sector, sentiment is not looking great. I'll also show you one of the charts that we have on Bybit. You go to bybit.com, you just click on markets in the top left hand side, and then you'll see that markets are still very much in this extreme fear setting. Not as bad as, say last week when I was about 11 or so. It's coming back up 19, but still firmly in the extreme fear setting. Here's another chart to look at. This is the implied volatility for the next 30 days. In other words, this one index, remember, an index is just a way to measure something, right? So this index measures markets' forecast of just how volatile Bitcoin prices could be over the next 30 days. It's November 24th. 30 days from now will bring us right into Christmas Eve, right? So it is coming off slightly, but still you're looking at levels that will only match that October 10th dramatic day, which was the biggest liquidation event in crypto history. And then also you go back to around March or April, where markets were really concerned in the lead up to the announcement by President Trump about his trade tariffs, right? So that's the kind of levels that we are looking at. That's the kind of sentiment that we are seeing across many different indicators about the fear in the crypto space. So that's why no surprise that Bitcoin's drop has been swift, right? And so the way we're looking at it is, so if you're perhaps looking for a potential upside, that's perhaps a big ask right now. Although with crypto, you never know, right? Things could turn on a dime. So we're looking for that 89K break above, right, before potentially reaching 95K. But I think the more dominant question right now is whether it could fall to 78.5 next. That's, of course, assuming break below that 80,000 psychological level. If not, then potentially reaching that lows that we haven't seen since April at the height of the tariff angst around President Trump's announcement. 74.5, that's something we're looking at. Okay. And don't worry, I'll recap all this in a nice table form that's easier to follow. All right. But real quick, before we do that, let's look at gold. This is another popular one that you guys know and love, right? So gold is something that we have been let me just zoom out real quick. There we go. I think that actually makes the chart that much better. There we go. Okay, gold right here. It's been something that I've been highlighting now for a while. And don't believe me, check out all the live streams that you can find on the live tab on our YouTube channel, or you can check them out on X, right? So for the last few days, again, each of these candlesticks, right? Each of these little bars here, they're called candlesticks. Each of them represents how gold or that particular asset has performed in one single day. These are the 1 day time frames, and you can change the time frame in the top left hand corner of your charts, be it on the Bybit app or on the Bybit web trading platform, right? I've chosen the 1 day one. So notice how over the past few days and last week in particular, it's been sandwiched between the 9-day simple moving average and the 21-day simple moving average, SMA, simple moving average, right? And these are some widely followed technical indicators. To be clear, none of this is financial advice. None of this is 100% guaranteed, right? But these are just some indicators that markets use, traders and investors use to kind of give them a sense about what's happening in the markets. So gold really going sideways because there is this uncertainty surrounding what the Federal Reserve, aka the Fed, which is the world's most influential central bank, whether or not they can keep cutting interest rates again in December. They've got a big meeting coming up in a couple of weeks, just like they did in October, just last month, right? So that debate is still raging in the markets. We'll give you some live numbers in a bit about the market expectations. There are bets on how likely the Fed can cut interest rates again in December. I'll give you that in a bit, but for right now, gold still sandwiched between the 9-day and 21-day simple moving averages. Okay. Now these are price levels that are drawn to the upside and downside, and to be consistent and transparent, we have drawn them since Friday already. Check out the November 21st live stream, and so this is the likeliest range that, or most likely trading range forecasted from last Friday until the end of this week. That's November 28th. Okay. So from November 21st until November 28th, expected to most likely stay within this range. And, of course, we've got lots of technical indicators to the upside and downside that it has to first overcome, right? Daily close above the 9-day simple moving average before we can see potentially reaching that 4,200 level, or daily close below 21-day simple moving average before you can potentially revisit the 4K mark like it just did a few days ago, or potentially even lower down to 3,953. Okay, those will be the levels that we are keeping an eye on for this week. Okay, so in table form, here's what it looks like. I'm going to pull it up right now. Just bear with me, folks. Let's try this one. Yep, there we go. Okay, so this is what it looks like in table form. Again, I know it's a bit small, but hopefully you guys can watch this again in your desktop, right? And look at the date at the bottom. This is what I had already shown you guys from November 21st, which was just this past Friday. Okay, so again, potential scenarios that we're looking at: bullish, meaning if prices go up, you need a daily close back above 89K. It's right now around 86K, well below 86K before potentially hitting 95K, but that's a big ask. Okay, and it requires sentiment to move so quickly from extreme fear, like I just showed you on the meter on the Bybit website. Just click on markets in the top left hand corner. You can find the fear greed index or meter there, the sentiment meter, how markets are feeling. Okay, you need this to be really robust for it to go back up to 95k. Otherwise, the big question is whether a daily close, actually, I would say even below 80k, can actually see these levels being hit. Okay, now gold to the upside. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, right? Daily close above 9 days, simple moving average, potential target 4,200 thereabouts, or 21 day to the 4,000, or still within that range that I had highlighted on the chart earlier. Okay, all right, now. And perhaps those of you who are watching, you're wanting to know, well, what was that stock in the title, right, that you mentioned? So, even though we see gold going nowhere, you got Bitcoin that's going down, but guess what? Let me show you this one chart. It doesn't mean that everything's going down, right? You here watching this live on the live stream on YouTube and X, while you are in for a treat, because this big company that right, has just hit yet another record high. Okay, and that stock is, nope, not that one. Where was it? Right here, Google. Okay, so right now, can you guys see my screen? Yes. All right. Do give me a shout out. Yeah, wherever you're watching, you can just feel free to chat on YouTube or also X. I've got my YouTube opened up here in front of me so I can watch live chat. X, you got to give me some time here, folks, to then toggle between tabs here. But, feel free to give me a shout out. If you got any questions or any charts that you want to see or any setups, some technical analysis, fundamental analysis, right? But speaking about fundamental analysis, why is Google punching above, right? Because you've got some news here, perhaps some good news from the legal perspective, that there's this judge in the US that is trying to ask questions about whether or not Google has to fully divest or sell its advertising business. Well, it has to, but the judge is maybe asking, well, let's try and find a way that's feasible, that's doable for Google to actually meet these legal requirements. Anyways, that's a lot of legal talk, but markets are taking it positively up now. Well, even though US markets have not officially opened for another 18 minutes or so, here on Bybit, right? Just a few months ago, we launched the TradFi products. That's TRADFI, short for traditional finance. Okay. And you can find many of these stocks that you know and love just by clicking on that hamburger menu in the top left hand corner and just type in the stock that you want, be it NVIDIA or which we covered last week because of the earnings, and it almost perfectly, well, actually perfectly hit the price target that we had set out in the preview before NVIDIA earnings. So that came in really nicely, right? You got NVIDIA, you got Apple, Tesla, you name it, it's there, right? All these big popular stocks. So this one, Google, hitting a new record high in this near 24.5 round the clock trading that we offer here on Bybit TradFi. Go check it out. And to find out whether or not that particular stock that you find on Bybit can be traded 24 hours practically, 5 days a week. There's a bit of a 1 minute and 2 minute windows that there's a bit of a pause in between trading here, but you can click on the info tab, right? Gets you here. I'll just zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this clearer. I click on the info tab and you can see this hopefully in your local times. Okay, so for example, again, like I said, for Google, this is Google, top left hand corner, or Alphabet. Right, you got trading from midnight to 1:59 a.m. Then a couple of minutes break, resuming from 2:01 a.m. all the way to 11:59 p.m. Then a 1 minute break before it resumes again midnight Wednesday. Okay, so that's how it works. You can go play around and discover all those. But on the chart here, right? So look, there are opportunities here, and obviously, after I've gotten your attention, yay! This stock has hit a new record high. Great. Then what's next? And here's your answer, right? At least according to Wall Street experts, the analysts surveyed by Bloomberg, this stock could still grow by another 9% over the next 12 months, right? So this is none of this is financial advice, but something to consider. But more importantly, this story that everything is down that you may see on Twitter or perhaps your friends are talking about it. Well, not quite true. I've just shown you. Not just one, Google about to, when markets open officially, I think hit about $3.7 trillion in market cap. But then you've got Johnson & Johnson as well, right? Just hit a record high this past Friday, right? You can find Johnson & Johnson, J&J, just type in J&J in the search box, right? J&J, and you can find a stock there. This one, although not being offered essentially 24/5, this one does. Well, let's check the hours here. Let me zoom in here real quick. This one being offered, following regular US markets time, right? With a couple of minutes or so here and there in between as a break. So this one actually starts at 6:31 p.m. Dubai time, because I'm in Dubai, right? So, go and check that out. But again, this stock just hit a new record high, right? In fact, this was something that we had highlighted even from last week or a couple of weeks ago. Keep me accountable. Go check it out. Not only can you find them on the live streams, but we have written about it, also mentioned it on our Learn page. Okay, you can just go to learn.bybit.com. Yeah, I'll show you how it does. Okay, well, actually, how about this? I'll walk you through it. So when you go to bybit.com, right, you'll see Learn across the top. Right, click on Learn, then you see Bybit Learn over here. Follow my cursor. Can you guys see it? So Learn up top. The drop-down menu shows up. Bybit Learn. Click on that, and then you'll see the blog, right? And notice how the URL changes to learn.bybit.com. Click on blog, and we've got daily bits where we write about what's happening in the markets, not just for Bitcoin, even though it does, of course, take up a lot of the real estate on this blog, because we know that's the stuff that you're always looking out for. But, there are so many other opportunities as well, right? Gold, FX pairs, right? NVIDIA that I just mentioned earlier, right? But, see this one that we had written on November 18th, right? Just last week, we had already mentioned Johnson & Johnson, right? All the way down here. Let me zoom in real quick. What else is soaring? Johnson & Johnson. And since then, it's just kept on going higher. Now, of course, the outlook for Johnson & Johnson hasn't been updated yet by the Wall Street analysts, but still, case in point, the main story I want to tell all of you watching right now on YouTube and X, there are many opportunities across asset classes, and many of those asset classes, we have them here on Bybit. So, just don't be, perhaps so, focused on crypto, although again, within crypto, there's so many opportunities that we highlight there as well, right? But there's so much more. So be on the lookout. Again, learn.bybit.com, click on the blog, and then check out daily bits. Or you can also, on the app, right, just look for the Learn icon, right? And it's under one of the services there. You can just scroll around under services, find Learn, and you can find all that same info there as well. Okay. Google, Johnson & Johnson hitting record highs, Google punching up right now, although Johnson & Johnson might see a slight pullback. Let me get some pre-market data for you, because it's gone risen perhaps too much too fast, but it's just dipping slightly right now. Let me just get some live data. Yeah, only down about 0.26 or less than 0.3% right now in pre-market. Okay, so maybe a slight profit taking there, but still comfortably above the $200 level for Johnson & Johnson. Okay, all right, so we've looked at Bitcoin, we have looked at gold, we have looked at some stocks. Now let's go back to a timeline that I've already shared with you guys on Friday, and I'll be more than glad to share it to you guys right now. This will help you guide through markets for this week. So even though we've got some holidays going on, right? In Japan, markets will close today. And of course, you've got Thanksgiving in the US coming up. So US markets will be closed on Thursday, the 27th, right? But still, there's stuff to look out for, right? So in just a bit, I'll do a deep dive on Alibaba, right? Because again, this is another stock that we have under the TradFi section of Bybit. And now this stock is expected to move 6.25% either up or down after the earnings are released. And again, note that the earnings will be coming out really soon, right? In basically 24 hours from now, we will find out Alibaba's earnings right before US markets open. So like I said, about 24 hours from now, we should know. Okay. Then something else we're looking at is the GBP USD, right? Because there's a big announcement coming out of the UK, and markets are concerned that the UK government will have to announce tax hikes, and that could weigh on the the British economy, on the UK economy, and potentially weigh on this currency pair, which is the British pound, GBP, versus the US dollar, USD. Okay, and we've given you the range from last Friday. Keep me in check. In the name of transparency, we're going to keep this levels there untouched, and we'll see how the week progresses, right? Because this is the forecasted range for GBP USD within this range. USD JPY, look, we've been talking about it for a while now. And if you guys missed out, this has been one of the weakest currency pairs in the G10 space. Those are all the major currencies, right? Like the euro, pound, yen, Swiss franc, all that stuff. So JPY, that's the Japanese yen, has been weak because of concerns surrounding the Japanese economy. So you got economic data fresh out of the oven on Friday. So make sure you check that out because that could rock USD JPY as well. Okay. So before I leave the screen, Alibaba for tomorrow, and we'll look at that chart in a bit. GBP USD because of the autumn budget announcement due midweek, and then JPY on Friday because of lots of data coming up. All right. So that's all to look out for this week. Let me just go back to the charts here. Okay, so let's go with Alibaba here. No, this is GBP USD. Let's go with Alibaba first. Okay, cool. So I've drawn those lines there, right? And it works out quite well because from current levels around 159 here, if you look at, say, 168.93, that's the calculation of that 6% move to the upside, depending on how the earnings come out tomorrow. Right, that fits in nicely with that 50-day simple moving average resistance. Right, this could be a key target for those looking to push this stock higher. Again, when I say words like resistance, think of a ceiling. That means prices kind of hit it and then kind of bounce back down, as opposed to a support, which is think like of a floor. Right, prices hit that floor and then come back up. So potential support, because that was the intraday low on Friday that we have here. Let me just zoom out so you can see a little bit better. Yeah, actually 21st November. Yeah, so that's Friday, right? So this could be the potential targets. Again, none of this is advice, but this could be hit by tomorrow if market forecasts for that 6% move either up or down actually happens. Now, of course, nobody knows what Alibaba is going to reveal, right? At least nobody outside of Alibaba, at least not supposed to. And so depending on what they say, especially, there has been a lot of excitement around Alibaba's AI a tool lately. I think Alibaba's what is called a QN. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, right? Because their revamped AI tool called QN has gotten about 10 million downloads in the first week since it was released, right? So, there is some excitement here, hence the gap up, but there's still potentially more excitement for this stock coming up in about 24 hours or less than 24 hours from now. Keep an eye on this. Don't miss out, right? Now, of course, if you want to take advantage of, any of these opportunities, right, you got to make sure that you first sign up for the Bybit account, because especially for these live streams, we've got 25,000 USDT set aside in potential rewards, right? In fact, how do you get that? Well, first things first, let me share with you a QR code that you can scan, right? So that's the first step. Scan the QR code, right? You will land on a page, which I'll show you in just a bit. Or you can just click on the link that you find in the YouTube description. Or those of you on X, right, you can go and check it out there as well. It's scattered on all across our Bybit Learn feed. Again, that's Bybit_learn, right? And you can find the link there. Click on that. Then you can land on this page, which I'll show you right now. Okay, so not only do we have 25,000 in USDT in potential rewards set aside for just these live streams, all you got to do is sign up. But then once you get onto this page by scanning the QR code or tapping on the link, right, you could potentially be in the running for a further 5,000 USDT in rewards, right? Not only do you have to sign up, up here or sign in, but then you scroll down, check out all these different tasks that you could do, like deposit or try out one of our earn products, invite a friend, right? Try out a spot trade, or even just submitting your documents as part of the KYC or know your client or verify your identity process. That could earn you points as well, right? So the more tasks you do, even read an article or comment or post an article or within the Bybit universe, right? You could earn more points, and then you can benchmark yourselves against these guys. We've got 25 pages worth of winners who have already taken advantage of this weekly prize pool. And again, right, beyond that, I've got something extra for you. Signing up via these live streams, you could potentially be in the running for your share of 25,000 USDT. So click on the link, don't miss out. If nothing else, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like button, but more importantly for you, right, make sure that you actually do not miss out. Okay, so plenty of opportunities there. Already shown you Alibaba. Let's go back to one of the forex pairs. Yeah, folks, if you've got any questions, right, just feel free to give me a shout out, right? Be it any of these assets that you mentioned earlier, or if you want me to pull something up on the fly, there's a chart that you guys want to see, or an asset, a crypto, or stock, right? And I'll try to give you some real time thoughts on that particular asset that you're interested in. Okay, so let's look at we mentioned Google. For those of you just joining, so if you saw in the title, there's that stock that hit a new record high. We're talking about Google, right, or Apple, right, which is available for trading practically 24 hours, 5 days a week here on Bybit. Okay, that's Google. Let's go back to one of the FX pairs. Okay, GBP USD. All right, so this is something that we mentioned already, right? Been guided lower by that 21-day simple moving average. That's a widely used technical indicator. And it hits it. This is resistance, right? Hits it, comes back down. Hits it, comes back down. Hits it, comes back down. Try it again last week or a couple of weeks ago, then come back down, right? So this is going to be a major resistance level here. Of course, we have to see what actually is announced when it comes to the autumn budget announcement. Markets are fearful that the UK needs to raise taxes, and that could in turn slow down economic growth. When the economy may not be doing so well, or markets are less optimistic about it, it tends to weaken that currency, right? So so this is why we have had this downtrend for GBP USD and resisted at the 21-day simple moving average really for the past couple of months now. Forecasted trading range, as I shown you in the table earlier, right? So 1.324 to the upside or 1.293 to the downside, right? So you're looking at this is the likeliest range for this week, unless this is a shocker. There's a shocking announcement out of Rachel Reeves, the UK Chancellor, on Wednesday, right? Then that could really see GBP USD spiking up or down. Remember, if it goes up, that means the pound GBP is getting stronger against the US dollar. If it comes down, if GBP USD goes down, that means the British pound is getting weaker against the US dollar, or the US dollar is getting stronger against the GBP. Okay. All right, so something to keep an eye out for. Also know this, so markets are already leading up to this big announcement that we've been waiting for months now, right? So the expected volatility for this week is for GBP USD, right? Markets think that the moves could be as fast or as big as what we've seen from levels that we haven't seen in almost 3 months, I think since late October, early September, right? So keep an eye out for this GBP USD, and of course we'll keep checking in on this not just tomorrow but also on Wednesday as well. Okay, all right, we've got a couple of minutes left. I want to show you guys maybe one more. Let's look at USD JPY again. This one we've been highlighting for a while. So look at this, right? So we have been highlighting it from a couple of weeks ago, from early November actually, right? And back then we had the target of 155, and sure enough it hit it, and then the zoom passed. Look at how it acted around this white line here. That's 158, right? Remember the big round numbers, right? those big round numbers tend to affect the psyche or the mindset of traders and investors. It got so close to 158 before coming back down, right? And then right now, USD JPY or the Japanese yen is today's worst performing currency against the US dollar within the G10 space. Okay, so that's why it's going up. Up meaning the dollar is strengthening against the Japanese yen, right? So that's what's happening right now, or the Japanese yen is weakening against the US dollar. Okay, 158.9 to the upside potentially, or 154.5 to the downside, which becomes this like support resistance, that support level that had previously acted as resistance back. I want to say this is about probably mid-October or so. Let me just double check here. Well, yeah, actually no, early November actually, so not that long ago. Okay, so keep an eye out for those levels, and don't worry, you're not going to hopefully mess with this chart too much, but I'm going to leave these levels intact just as a guide, right? If nothing else, and we'll see how these different assets, be it USD, JPY, Google, Bitcoin, gold, all fare over the course of this week. Okay, so we'll be I see more people joining now. So again, a quick recap. If you're joining because you saw the title there, the about this stock that hit a new record high, the answer there is Google, right? Which you can also trade on Bybit's platforms. You can check out the web platform, also the app, right? And right now, today, these are the daily time frames. Each of these candlesticks, right? Each of these little bars here represents how Google stock has performed in one single day. And because Google is being offered practically 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, it's already started moving. And so it is now up right now, hitting levels never seen before in its history. So it's not all doom and gloom, right? Even though Bitcoin is going down, let's do a quick check-in on Bitcoin. Yeah, well, it's come back up above 86K right now, but still at levels that we left things off at during Friday's live stream, right? So still hovering around there. I've already shared with you the potential setups that I've been looking for. So feel free to scroll back, or even check out last Friday's live stream. I have the table up there as well. So that's a quick last minute check on Bitcoin before we wrap things up. Gold, similarly, just kind of stuck range bound, support from that 21-day simple moving average right there. I'm really struggling to break beyond either of these simple moving averages, SMAs. Those are widely used technical indicators, right? You need a breakout of either that 9-day simple moving average to discover potentially more upside at 4,200, or break below the 21-day simple moving average before revisiting 4,000. Okay. All right. I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you for those who have watched all throughout. But if you're watching this all the way to the end, well done. And don't forget, we do have 25,000 worth of USDT set aside just for these live streams. So what you got to do is make sure you scan this QR code and sign up, right? Sign up for your Bybit accounts if you don't have one already. That way I can track you and then give you your share of 25,000 USDT. You can scan this QR code or tap on the link in the YouTube description below. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like as well along the way. Or for those of you watching in X, you can tap on it. Even if you're watching after the live stream, you can still do these. Just tap on the link on Bybit_learn. That's our handle on X. Okay. All right, cool. We'll leave it at that. No questions on YouTube as people come in and out. At least for the live stream, and I know more of you actually watching this after the live stream's over, but no worries, we're gonna keep it there. We'll leave it at that. Cool. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys again 2 p.m. GMT tomorrow, same time, same place. See ya. Bye.